And I think too, like when you're thinking about an edit, right, that's a really good indicator of like, okay, where are people dropping off? So it could be a really good ad, right? Like it could be like, okay, even like with the average view duration, whatever, it's still a good ad. But then if you're like, okay, I'm just curious, what if we switch the order of this ad? Would that extend it? And then also, that's a simple rehab that you could do. Because it's like if people are always constantly dropping after 4 seconds, that means like, okay, they obviously were hooked, but then they were clearly, felt, it didn't feel like they got what they were expecting, right? Because if they start watching at 3 seconds, like, okay, this is what this is going to be about, and then at 5 seconds, they're like, this is actually not it, and then they leave, right? So then that can give you some ideas of like, okay, how could we improve this? Now, one of the things about average view duration this is a custom metric that I didn't create it, but like you can't make it in Facebook Ads Manager, but it's something that I look at, which is average view duration percentage. So what I do is I look at the average view duration, then I divide it by how long the actual ad is. Because 4 seconds on a 10-second ad, that's like 50%. 4 second on a minute ad, that's like 5% or whatever. I don't do public math, but like it really changes your relationship to that metric. So that's something that I'd like to call out, is just make sure that like there's levels to 5 seconds, right? Like it's not all 5 seconds is equal. So that's something that I do. I just custom do that in a spreadsheet and like divide it like literally on a calculator, because you can't make that metric in Facebook Ads Manager. What are other people looking at? We could even go through some of these on Notion, but curious how people are seeing like when they're looking at CTR, what does that mean to them? Even like I'd love to have the conversation of like people that look at hook rate versus hold rate. What does that mean to them? So curious to hear what other people are thinking about with creative benchmarks.
I'll jump in. We always start with what we believe is going to be the best possible creative ever, especially when we're talking about video creative. So what's the hypothesis? What's the data? What's going to put us in the best position to move forward on, and try and create that brilliant piece of creative, launch that, and then review the data. So like everyone's already said, CPA and ROAS ultimately, and then those softer metrics. And then we'll then create iterations off the back of that original video, and each iteration will focus on one specific metric. So the thumb stop is quite low, let's try and make an iteration which focuses on that. Or the CTR, which is quite low, let's try and focus on the a stronger call to action, and then reviewing, does that iteration do that or not, rather than having quite a big objective, which for a new iteration, which could be, let's just try and make a better ad which has a better CPA. Like there's especially with a video, there's like 150 different variables in the video, and then we're trying to impact one metric. Whereas if we just, let's try and make one iteration where we change the hook or the hold or the call to action, and is it successful at doing that? And then when we impact that metric, does that result in a better CPA or ROAS? Because sometimes it doesn't. We could have a better click-through rate, but ultimately it could be clickbait, and the 0.5% click-through rate we had originally, even though it's low, it was very targeted. And of that 0.5%, the conversion rate was 10%. Whereas we could have like a 3% click-through rate, but it was, far too broad. People were landing on the website and they were just getting turned off. So yeah, iteration, focusing on improving one metric. And when it does that, improve that one metric, does that benefit the performance? So yeah, I know that wasn't really the answer to the question, but that's what.
No, it's great.